This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I can't stress enough how important it is to take care of your mental health. It's obviously not only affecting you, but it can affect other people, your family, your friends, your children. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially if we're always growing and changing. But therapy is about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. It can empower you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. We urge you to discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/reps today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/reps. Hello, Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, I know.
I am not yawning because of you. I am yawning because I am fucking exhausted.
No, I know. I mean, who isn't exhausted?
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounded so bitchy.
That did sound pretty bitchy.
That's not what I meant.
Like, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's cool.
That sounded so much meaner than I meant it to. Oh my God. I was just thinking, like, anybody listening to us, they're probably probably everybody's really tired. But yeah, that really didn't sound like I was supporting you very well. Yeah. Okay. Cry me a river, Devon.
Right. I mean, it was just his neck.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. You've been through the ringer.
Yeah, this has been, I feel like our listeners have gone on a journey with me.
Yeah, no shit.
Because before this, it was like, teenage drama problems.
Angst. Yeah, I know. It just goes to show you there's always something.
Yeah.
They always say, well, by the way, welcome to Between the Reps with Brooke and Devon today. Brooke cannot join us. And all of a sudden everyone's like, nope, not going to listen.
I know, right?
Fuck this. She is traveling, so she could not hook up with us. But yeah, it's, they always say that, God, yeah, you got him for 18 years. It's like, no, it's not. It is not 18 years. People, if you've not had children yet and you are debating and you don't want to do more than 18 years, don't do it.
Don't.
It is a lifetime.
It is until they lay your cold body in the ground.
Everyone's like, wow, you guys love motherhood.
Yeah.
No, it really is. It really is the best thing ever, but it does come with a lot of stress.
It does. And like you said, it's not 18 years. It's not like, oh, hey, did my job.
Yeah. Like how many
not going to worry or take care of them anymore.
Well, and yeah. And like how many kids just like leave home at 18 anymore? I mean, like to go to college or something, but you're still supporting them a lot of times or helping support them. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people out there that like had to do it all themselves and, my hat's off to you, but yeah, it takes a really long time.
It does.
So are you comfortable talking about what happened? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
That you've talked about it.
I don't think I have.
Because Brooke and I on the last one, we basically just said that you were having a family emergency.
That's right.
But yeah, so do you want to tell the people?
I'll tell the people. So we were getting ready to record a podcast on Monday, April 3rd. It was in the morning. It was around 8:30. I got a call from my son. He had gotten in a bad accident. He had left early that morning to go snowboarding up in Lake Tahoe, which is about 5 hours away. He was taking his dog for the first time. We have a dog named Rudy, who's a rescue, who's got very bad anxiety from being abused back in the day. And Stephen finally felt comfortable taking him on a trip for whatever reason. Um, and anyways, he had been on the road for about 3.5, 4 hours and fell asleep and went off the side of the freeway down an embankment. He was airborne for about 500 yards.
That is insane.
Yeah. Took out some trees, ended up center punching a concrete post, a steel and concrete post, and then basically flipped the truck and landed on part of a steel fence that caved in the whole driver's side roof.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
It's a parent's worst nightmare getting that call.
it was, he called me before he even called 911. So
I didn't realize that. So he called you. So you knew he was alive. I was, I mean, not that that's like so much better, but
no, but
yeah,
it was. At least I knew he was alive and
I was
breathing.
imagining like the police had called you or the hospital or yeah. Okay.
He called me wailing, like the sound of his voice.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I'll just never quite get over that. But a bystander had seen him go off the freeway and stopped and called 911. I guess there was a couple cars. Um, and he was able to get his dog and himself out of the truck somehow with his phone, and then called me. Um, and then shortly, and I was like, where are you? Fortunately, my kid is, you know, smart enough or, cooperative enough that he still shares his location with me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, because he didn't know where he was at all, like he was kind of hysterical. And so I was able to pull up his location and screenshot it real quick so that I could at least get on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which that's what Brooke and I were worried about. It's like trying to, drive to your child who's hours away
yeah,
while hysterical is like, yeah.
yeah.
We were worried for you. Yeah.
Well, I was pretty good driving. I kept telling myself, so while I was on the phone with him, this was a matter of like probably less than 3 minutes from the time he called me to the time a CHP got there and got on the phone with me. And he's like, um, I said, is he okay? He goes, I don't know, but he's going to be transported. I was like, what about the dog? And he goes, he's going to be in animal services custody and he's going to be transported to San Joaquin Medical Center, and hung up on me.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
What?
okay.
Thanks for the information, asshole.
Yeah. So I knew he was breathing,
Yeah.
and 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 that he was able to move because had gotten himself out of the truck. And
Right.
honestly, Jeanna, like when I called you and Brooke, I know I sounded like super, super upset, but the whole time I was driving, I was like, he probably overreacted. Faith lives only an hour away from there. So I had called her and said, can you head that direction?
His sister. Yeah. Yeah.
Sister. And so she did. And the whole drive there, I was thinking, he's going to get discharged from the emergency room. This is going to be a giant bill because he overreacted. Like, he's going to be fine. I'll probably meet them for lunch and figure out.
No, not the case. Not the case.
So I was, making phone calls and trying to figure stuff out when I got a text from my daughter that said he had a fractured C1, which is the very first vertebrae below of your spine that basically sits just below your brainstem.
That's scary.
Um, it is the same vertebrae that Christopher Reeves broke.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And 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 so I was like, what? Because C1 fractures are usually, from my medical experience, they usually involve some sort of other injury, like they have paralysis with it. They have, a skull, like gnarly skull fracture or brain bleed, because typically to break that, you have to hit your head hard enough to break that bone.
Which I don't remember. How did Christopher Reeve end up paralyzed? Do you remember?
I believe it was a swimming pool accident.
I was going to say swimming pool too, but then I was like, that sounded like the Johnny Erickson story. Well, I mean, I grew up in the church, so it was always like this girl that like went and she dove in and paralyzed herself from like the neck down, and then she would paint these beautiful paintings with her mouth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
Well, this is called a diver's fracture because that's the majority of people with this injury are, auto accidents, divers, like people or kids that dive into a shallow end of a pool and hit. The impact is usually right on the top of your head.
So is that where his head was impacted?
Yeah. Yeah.
And is that why the truck looks so squished? Was it from the top of the truck, or was he?
Well, what we think, because
the dash?
When we got there and I saw the photos and everything, because law enforcement had taken pictures, and hearing Steven's sort of version of it, he woke up while he was airborne and leaned over to the passenger seat to the right side to try and grab his dog.
What an incredible instinct, by the way.
I know.
I mean, I feel like if that had happened to me, I'd be like, everybody for themselves.
But had he not done that, had he not done that, Jeanna, I don't know that he would be walking and talking, let alone.
Well, from the looks of the truck, he probably would not have been.
No.
When you sent me those, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like that it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the I've looked at him so many times since then, like in hard moments, just to be like, okay, like this is totally manageable.
Right.
Right. Lack of sleep, him being uncomfortable, but he's still here. And I think what happened, from the looks of the accident and his injuries and everything, he had a big abrasion. He had like a big mark, a straight mark, almost straight down the middle of his head. And what I think is that he was leaned over to try and get Rudy. And I think when he landed on the roof of the car, because he was bent over, I think he hit the rearview mirror.
Oh, okay.
That's just my best guess, but just like kind of looking at the pictures and looking at the accident and then looking at his injuries, I think that's what happened. Because had he been sitting up, he wouldn't
have been alive. Wow.
So that's where I've been the last 20 days.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but he's home. You've had a couple scares since then.
Yeah.
But none since Easter?
None since Easter.
Good.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/reps and get on your way to being your best self. I can't stress enough how important it is to take care of your mental health. It's obviously not only affecting you, but it can affect other people, your family, your friends, your children. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially if we're always growing and changing. But therapy is about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp BetterHelp can be helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. And if you're like me, who didn't have boundaries for so long, it's so important and it will change your life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. We urge you to discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/reps today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/reps.
Easter, he went unconscious. I was adjusting his C-collar. He's in a brace. It's a chest and back and then neck brace. It's called a cervical thoracic collar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helping adjust that, and he went unconscious and his heart rate dropped down into the 30s, and yeah, that was kind of terrifying. So paramedics came. Now, this, I really did, like, honestly, Jeanna, I thought Stephen was going to die. This particular incident,
terrible.
like, he looked so bad. I mean, and it's very scary when it's your own kid.
Yeah.
And you don't have, I didn't have a monitor. I didn't have oxygen, I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And, but they had been there for a few minutes, and his vital signs started to get a little bit better. And like, the medics were super capable, and I was starting to kind of calm down a little bit. And then I noticed, I was like, oh, it's my friend. Shit, I look like shit.
You're like, is there lip gloss closed? Like, what can I do?
So they had to carry him down the stairs in like basically like a tarp that has handles. It's like because our stairs are very narrow, and Faith's standing there. I was like, I need to put on pants. So I threw on pants and a baseball hat and like did this with my cheeks.
Oh my God. That wouldn't even work for me. That wouldn't even work for me. I love that would work for you. You're like, okay, he's good, but okay.
Yeah. Let's put some color back in my face.
Oh, I mean, laughter is a tool to get you through something. So, for our listeners, it's obviously was not the at the forefront of your thought, but yeah, I think that I would probably be the same, like where you're like so focused on something and like, oh my God, my child, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, okay, he's going to be good. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what?
What?
Oh no.
Oh
no. Everyone's like, you vain bitches. We're just being honest, guys. That's all. Just honest.
And honestly, like, I've seriously needed to laugh through all this because it's.
Yeah, no, I can't. I cannot imagine. I don't know if I've talked about it on this or not. I feel like I have, but I got a call one time with Jordan, my oldest. He was in high school and had gone to Flagstaff in Arizona during the winter to go snowboarding with his girlfriend and their family. And I guess her grandparents lived there or something. And so, he texts me in the morning or calls me in the morning. He's like, yeah, Mom, we're heading up on the mountain. I was like, awesome. Have the best time. And like literally an hour later, I'm at breakfast with my sister, and it's like, she calls and she's like, okay, don't freak out. But we're in the ambulance. They're saying something about maybe like a broken neck and a back and, all this stuff. And I'm like, wait, what? Oh, and I just remember that feeling. It like, it just takes over your entire body. Like the tingling and the sick and the, all of it. It's like, oh my God, like what? And your adrenaline is going and, and he ended up being okay. And I mean, they ended up discharging him from the hospital. And I mean, I was ready to fly out there, but he was fine. He just had like a slight concussion, and his girlfriend's mom was a nurse, and the grandmother was a nurse, and they were like, don't come out here, he's fine. So anyway, it ended up being okay. But like, even just that little bit, like that 1/2 hour of not knowing was so devastating for me. I couldn't get over it for weeks. And so I can't even imagine having what you went through, and then having an actual injury, and then having, the stress of, him continuing to have issues or whatever. I can't.
Yeah, it was brutal. Well, and then we had another trip to the emergency room prior to him going unconscious 2 nights before that, because his pupils were different sizes.
Yeah, well, it's just like concussion, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or
brain injury or something.
Yeah. And the hospital that he was at directly after the accident. Now, I was on the ambulance and in different emergency rooms for 22 years. And I get like, you're busy and, there's other stuff going on, and people say, oh, they sucked for one reason or another, No, this place was horrible.
Which place was that?
It was San Joaquin Regional Medical Center, and I have
the first place you were at.
First problem. I have no problem saying that it sucked. Like, I've thought about writing an article to the newspaper, but quite frankly, I don't know if anybody in Stockton knows how to read. Sorry if you're from Stockton. I'm sure there's exceptions, but
I will say oh my God, so much trouble. No, I will say this. I had a friend that lived in Stockton, and we used to go up and visit all the time, and she could read, but you're not, there's definitely an element there. Yes.
It was so bad. Like, so come to find out, they told me they did a head, so when you have a trauma like that, there's different protocols that you go through, right? And one of which, if the person is having neck pain and they have marks on their head and the mechanism of injury was what it was, you do a head CAT scan, right?
Well, I mean, that I am not in the medical field at all.
And you would even go
and the first thing I would think is like brain injury, which a CAT scan would be something you would do for that, right?
Right.
Or like a brain bleed or something like that.
And if an x-ray, so one of the things that they do when on a very fresh trauma patient is they'll bring them in a portable x-ray machine, right? And that way the person's still getting assessed, but they can do, because he had acute neck pain, they can do a quick x-ray of him in the trauma room and say, yeah, that looks off. Or no, it looks okay. I mean, we could still scan him, but like, it looks okay.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. And that's where they found the fracture. So anybody with any 2 cents would send him to CAT scan. And because the fracture is so high up and the mechanism that causes that kind of fracture is an impact of the head, you would scan the head. Well,
and you've got a mark on the top of the head. So clearly you've hit the head.
They told me they scanned his head and they put all of his imaging and everything on a disc. And I trusted this neurosurgeon that's talking to me. They never scanned his head.
Wait, so what was the thing that they showed you? Somebody else?
So they gave me a disc of the plain film x-rays, and they did do a CAT scan, but they only did his neck. They didn't.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And then they did an MRI, and they did 2 kinds of different MRIs, and then they did some more studies to see if the fracture was moving at all or if it was stable, because that would determine if he needed surgery or not. But I didn't feel super confident. And then they tried to discharge him, and he was not in any condition to be discharged for a 4.5 hour drive home. Yeah, it was a whole thing. Um, but
So they was like the hospital full?
uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not a good reason. I was just curious.
No, it's not. And then then I started pushing for him to get admitted. And then she tells me the hospital's full. So he was going to stay down in the ER all night. And after my adrenaline kind of calmed down and I was able to look around and kind of see the treatment and like what they were doing, I was like, there's no fucking way he's staying here. I'll sign him out and have Faith hold his head until he gets treated. Like, there's no way.
Mama Bear came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of not, I mean, it's probably like it's a good thing and bad thing that you like have some knowledge in that field, right? I mean, I would be like, oh, okay, you know, I don't know.
yeah.
So, I mean, at least you were able to acknowledge that and see that everyone was like fucking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the shitty part is that that's the only hospital for that entire area. And we were there for about 12 hours, and I saw the volume of people that they're seeing and the lack of resources and stuff. And it's super sad. It was super sad because those nurses, and I love me some nurses, but these ladies were burnt out.
Yeah.
Like burned out.
I feel like that's probably a lot of areas, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, he got discharged home. It was a long few days, and then a few days later but I wasn't super confident in his diagnosis at all.
I wouldn't be either.
Because of the way things went down, and basically they sent him home in this huge brace with a spinal fracture, and they're like, he has to wear this 24/7 for at least the next 4 to 8 weeks. Bye. Okay.
Well, so is he still wearing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you got a second opinion or something while you were down there, right? Well, because you went back to the hospital twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I got him in with a neurosurgeon that I've worked with in the past, down at the hospital that I used to work with. So he has an appointment with him, but he's reviewed all of his chart and his films and everything. And he's like, he's good in that. We'll see him in a few weeks.
Oh, good.
So,
which, I mean, it's amazing. It's very cool that you have those resources. Like, just think of like all these people that don't have any resources.
I know. Well, in fact, a Facebook friend of mine that's like a local photographer. I've never met him, but we have a bunch of mutual friends, and he's a local photographer that does really cool like landscaping, beach photography, that kind of thing. He got in a mountain bike accident. Come to find out, he got in a mountain bike accident on April 2nd, so the day before Stephen. And he has a C1 fracture, also. Okay. But he also has, and I think he's probably early 30s. He's young, but he broke all of the bones in his hands and wrists, both arms. Had to have surgery and pins and everything. And I think it was his sister finally posted an update today about that he's home. And so I messaged him and I was like, hey, Wes, like, this is kind of random. I know we're only Facebook friends, but my son got in an accident the day after you with a C1 fracture as well. And like, here's some of the stuff that I've learned over the course of the last couple weeks. And he didn't know a lot of it.
I love that you did that.
Yeah. And I got him in touch with the collar manufacturer, because you need to change the pads every couple days so they don't get skin infections. He didn't know that. So I put him in touch with the rep that I got in touch with.
Can I ask you like a really like asshole thing?
Yeah.
if he's broken all the bones in his fingers, how is he getting back to you?
So I'm not sure.
I'm assuming somebody else
I'm assuming, or he's got voice. I think voice. I'm not totally sure.
I'm old. I'm just thinking like, how are you typing? Like what? Like.
Well, I think it was his sister.
I'm sorry, guys. I've been drinking, so I'm gonna turn into like an extra asshole, and I haven't been drinking very much lately, and it's on an empty stomach. So.
Oh, give it to us.
I'm thinking this poor guy is almost like not Edward Scissorhands. That's not the right thing, but like almost like he's got these big things and like he's trying to like
he's got all
you're like contacting him on Facebook instead, and he's like.
I did finally, after sending him a couple of messages and him replying, I was like, please don't feel the need to reply. I'm sure
Devon, because this is what he's doing. He's holding one of his hands, like his finger, and he's like, like,
or he's got like a pencil in his mouth.
I know, like, bless his heart. Fuck.
Sorry, Wes, if you listen to this. I wish you quick healing.
Oh, dude, I cannot even imagine. I've like broken one bone in my body my entire life. And it was so fucking painful. I cannot even imagine breaking like all the bones in your hands.
No.
Like something that you need to use all of the time. I mean, it's just, that's crazy.
Well, Stephen was kind of trying to describe his neck pain. And you know how if you sleep wrong and you get like a pinched nerve and everything you do hurts and it irritates the shit out of you? He goes, multiply that times about 100,000. And I was like,
oh my God.
Oh, honey.
I know, baby.
I'm so sorry.
Oh. Has his pain subsided since or?
Yeah.
Okay.
His pain's so much better.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. And they say it's going to heal on its own.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
I think right now the hardest part is, he's doing the mental gymnastics of it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's got to be traumatizing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And realizing that not only just processing the accident and then processing like the frustration of being in this contraption and not being able to sleep or do anything for yourself. But also that this is not like once it comes off, it's not going to just be okay,
Yeah, like back to normal.
As usual.
Right.
Yeah. So I think he's kind of doing that. But honestly, Jeanna, like for all the struggles that we went through from the beginning of the year, like he's doing very well.
I mean, it's got to be probably a life-altering moment. I mean, it's really like having like a near-death experience. I mean, I would assume.
Yeah. I hope that's how it sinks in.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be, I mean, it's got to be nice for you that you went through this. No, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean at all. The wine's kicking in. No, but I'm just saying like it's probably because of kind of like where you guys were at with things, being able to be a caregiver for him.
Mm-hmm.
And for, I don't know, that has to feel not nice.
It's like,
I guess.
Sucker, you do need.
Yeah. You're like, motherfucker.
Oh,
it took you getting it. Tell mommy you love her.
What does it feel like to want? I mean, that had its own.
You have to laugh at it. You have to laugh at it. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Fucking cry?
Yeah. No,
nobody wants to hear us cry.
And then my lash girl got pissed at me. She's like, your lashes are fucked. I'm like, I know. I've been crying for 2 weeks.
Your lash girl got mad at you?
Yeah, because they were so. My wine's kicking in now too.
Yeah. Everyone's like, we have real problems.
I'm like, oh, my lash curl's mad at me. The salt in my tears dissolved the glue.
Oh man. Is it bad that all I can hear in that whole thing is that I wish I could have lashes again?
Why can't you?
Oh, because I'm allergic to glue.
Oh,
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. That's why I had to quit doing it. And then what's funny is that I've told this a million times, but I used to, get the lashes done all the time. And then I somehow over time, it wasn't even, this is the worst part about it. Everyone's like, cry me a river. The worst part, yeah, your life's so hard. Is that I had them for like 2 years and loved them. And then started to the reaction was created over time. And so every time I would get it done, I'd have like a little bit of swelling. And then all of a sudden it was like, every time I would get them done, they were like, my eyes were almost swollen shut for like 3 days. And I'd be like, no, it's okay. I'll get, I mean, I look so good. And so finally I was like, fuck this. I can't do this anymore. It's getting worse. And so then I would wear fake lashes all the time. And so I did that for like 3 years or something like that. And then Brooke and I, when we first started doing this podcast,
I remember this.
We looked into the lash thing and it was talking about eyelash mites.
Mm-hmm.
We looked up pictures and it was literally that day that I was like, fuck this shit. But the problem is that since I've been wearing fake lashes so often, my lashes were gone.
Right.
So I just looked like a weird, I've said this a million times, like I had like old puppy eyes, if you can imagine what that is. They're like kind of like swollen, but like a bunch of wrinkles. And so I looked really fucking weird for a good year before my eyelashes even grew back. And they're still not like they were before.
I went through that during COVID when you couldn't get them done.
Oh,
and
right.
So, they end up coming off and your regular lashes are all broken and thinned out and all of that. But when you guys looked up so even normal lashes have lash mites. Even like
no, but this is the thing. When I was doing my lashes, I was doing individuals. And so what I would do is like once a week. This is so gross. I'm sorry. I'm disgusting. No, so what I would do is I would once a week, I would take them off because they would last a while. And I would glue all the individual lashes across,
Oh, okay.
And then I couldn't wash my eyes.
Oh.
So I for sure had an entire, like probably generational mites living in my eye. And what's weird is that they itched a lot, but I couldn't really itch them. And so, and it got to be, I have to say, it is very liberating not having anything now, or for, how many years, like 4 or 5 years that I haven't, because every single thing that I would do was centered around my lashes. And that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? People have real problems in the world. No, I would like, if I went on a roller coaster, I was like, covering my eyes. If I couldn't do a massage, I would ask if I could do a massage, like with my head to the side again.
To protect
privileged problems, right? Like a wind, like anything that would happen, I would always be like protecting my eyes. Like I was like some crazy person because I had to like make these lashes last for a week because I didn't want to have to do them again. And what's funny is I was thinking about it the other day, I actually wore fake lashes for the first time in forever. It was like for a party or something. And I thought, thank God I got rid of these a while ago because I'm so fucking blind that there's no way I mean, even like with a magnifying mirror, I can't fucking do them. My eyesight is so bad. Oh man. Yeah.
Have you seen those reels on TikTok or on Instagram?
I don't have TikTok.
With the guy, but it's like a guy that like pretends to be a woman, and he'll do these big fake lashes, and they're like, all
yeah, like where they blow back or
yeah.
Yes. I mean, I was like that. It was like I couldn't have the window down because it would fuck up my lashes.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, talk about like, I don't know. Man, I think my divorce just like really like propelled me into a self-involved period of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, okay, I don't have kids to focus on. I don't have, all these things. And then it's like, well, what do I focus on? Myself. Yeah, I'm just going to become this selfish, vain bitch. That's just going to, it's so sad when I think about it. Yeah.
But if it's something, so here's the thing, like, because I do the lash extensions, I have hair extensions, I have
huge fan.
Let my nails go and my toes go.
Same.
But I feel like if it's
you're like, who's going to look at these hands and these toes when they're looking at these beautiful eyes?
Exactly. If it's something that you like and that is financially responsible,
yes,
then and it makes you feel good and put together, then why not, right? But if at some point it gets to the point where it's not financially responsible,
right,
or it feels like a chore, or you're like, God, I'm so over this, I don't want to do this
or
anymore.
if you're starting,
fucking do it.
No, I totally agree.
Don't do it.
It's that, I mean, we've talked about this so many times on this podcast about trying to find that healthy balance of self-love and vanity to a certain point. Like, where does it, at what point do you just go, oh my gosh, like this is so not important? Like, I guess that's really the point, is like, how important are you making it in your life?
Right.
How much self-worth is coming from these like really stupid, things that you're doing to yourself? And like you said, money that you're spending. And so it's funny, like looking back and thinking, I let so many experiences be about my fucking lashes. What? That doesn't even sound like somebody that has raised 4 children and just, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what?
What?
But it's weird. And, I mean, that's a whole other podcast. It's weird how when you go, I mean, I can only speak as a woman because that's what I am. For me, going through a divorce, after a quarter of a decade, and being in my, mid to late 40s, and then all of a sudden being single and, being in this world of, Instagram and I don't know, like all the outside influences that I didn't have when I first went into this marriage, I became, I wouldn't say like somebody I didn't like, but I would say that I kind of like succumbed to the pressures of trying to look beautiful, or like too focused on like the outward appearance.
Like keep up with what you thought.
I don't even know if I was trying to keep up with younger people. I just think that I was like, oh, it's my time. I'm just trying to look good. And it's like, that is so fleeting. That lasted like 4 years. Woohoo. But now I'm turning 53 in like 2 weeks. And, now I have this grandchild, and, my a third child's getting married, and like all these things are happening. And I go, oh my God, like what was wrong with that thinking. And I think that I just kind of fell into this idea that I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I complain all the time on here about how everyone's like just cares about looks now, and they don't think about the inner person and blah blah. But I totally fell into that.
Yeah,
I still battle with it all the fucking time. And I have to remind myself, like, no, Jeanna, that is not who you are. Like, that is not important at the end of the day.
And I almost think that you have to go through that phase at some point. And because you and I both had our kids very, very young, we never really were able to kind of go through that phase of maturity until later on, until we were divorced, until the kids were older. And I can totally relate to exactly what you're saying. And I think it's something that you do have to go through. I think, that a lot of people go through it in their early 20s or even mid to late 20s. I don't think you fully feel comfortable in your skin, honest to God. And, this is, I was very reluctant to accept this when I turned 40, but I don't think that you fully feel comfortable in your skin until you're 40.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think I ever have really felt comfortable.
Or at least accept. Or
I think so. There's the inside forces and the outside forces, right? Yeah. So I think what happens is that you're constantly I think you're right. It was a different time. It was a different time for me. I'm older than you. When I was younger, I still had self issues, but I was so focused on kids and, so many other things. So it was kind of more secondary. And that's why I always say on here that try to appreciate your body where it is at that time, because it's just going to get worse. And I don't mean worse as far as, because it really isn't necessarily worse. It's just by your own standards, those standards that you've already found, it is going to just get worse. And there's so many things you can do nowadays. And so, and yes, I don't want to make it sound like, just throw in the towel and don't work out and don't take care of yourself. Yes, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. But I don't think there's ever a time that you can't find something wrong with yourself.
Right.
And that's the sad thing. Why the fuck are we doing that? Why am I, looking at myself and I'm going to be 53 years old and I know intellectually I don't look awful. And secondary, why the fuck am I so worried about that in the first place?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Have you found, because this is a recent thing for me, and we kind of touched on it on the last podcast, but have you found yourself realizing there's so much more to me than what I look like? If people only appreciate me or judge me or evaluate me based on how I look, fuck them.
No, for sure. But then why am I doing it to myself?
Well, I don't know, because we're our worst critics. I'm not sure.
I know.
But you have to remind yourself of that. I think I sent you something. Maybe I didn't send it to you because it was on Facebook. I follow this.
Oh, I haven't been on Facebook for 5 years. I can't even get in.
I follow this poet that I love, and she has these wonderful illustrations, but there was this poem just recently that was don't focus on your looks because those die.
Yes.
Focus on your sense of humor. Focus on your knowledge of the world. Focus on your, gratitude and your, empathy and all of the things that make you whole. and not just the outer. And I mean, as I'm approaching 45, that is definitely something that I'm like, you're right. That, yeah,
Right.
I would much rather be valued for that, or my ability to problem solve, or my ability to, show up for the people that I love, than if I have my lashes look good.
I know, exactly. But that's what I know, but that's the thing,
still.
right? As like we can look at that and we go, oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. And that's what I want. But then there is this like little part of you that still cares. And I think that it just like pisses me off that I still care about it or that I cared so much about it. Like, how stupid is that?
It's just,
I mean, it's stupid.
normal.
It's okay. I mean, it's normal.
Stupid. It's normal.
It is stupid.
It is one of those things where I think you do have to check yourself.
Yeah.
You do have to check yourself and be like, okay, oh, here's a great example.
Give it to me.
This podcast, so I have to be kind of careful.
Mm-hmm.
So Faith, my daughter, is 22, and she used to be a swimmer. She swam all through high school. She was captain. She set some records. She was an amazing swimmer. She has a swimmer's body, so she has big shoulders, thick thighs, like very muscular. She's built a lot like me. And when she went to college, she wasn't swimming in college. So, things kind of changed and whatever. And and she was so focused on studying, she's going to law school. So like that was her focus, right? So she recently got into doing, it's hot Pilates, but she calls it Pilates because that's what they market it as.
No, but it's like hot.
It's very much like HIIT.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's in there and she's doing it because she's strong. Like she's athletic, but she's not a stick figure. Like 22-year-old, how you would, maybe picture them. But and I loved this for her. And so she goes every night but Friday, because they're closed on Fridays. She's fell in love with it. But one of the coaches there, she was kind of having a hard time because they were always like, get that summer 6-pack and get those abs.
Right.
But one of the coaches focuses on like, you get to do this. You're doing this for longevity. You're doing this so you can run up a flight of stairs if you need to. You're doing this so you can carry your groceries in or, whatever. And like, this is protecting your spine. It's protecting your, strengthening all those muscles or protecting your organs. And I thought that was really cool because it really struck a chord with her. Nobody had ever said that to her. It was always,
it wasn't like the physical appearance. It was like, this is what you can do. This is how strong you can be. Right.
And so I think that's a really important message for coaches to remember when they're working with women in particular, men too, but women in particular. It's like, you can do this. You get to do this. And you're doing this for longevity so that when you are 70, you can walk up a flight of stairs.
Right.
Or
even just now, you can just feel strong and empowered and you can feel, like you can, there's something that you couldn't do before that now you can do.
Right.
Which is such a cool message. I mean, I wish that was the message that I had gotten when I was younger.
Me too.
I mean, it's so funny because like my mom now, she's still like, because, I don't really do, I actually did a CrossFit class for the first time in like months, this last Saturday. And yeah, it was hard and I almost cried, but I've been mostly doing, like benching and like accessory work in between. So like benching, deadlift, back squat, those sort of things, because I do want, as far as like my bone strength and, all this other stuff. But I wish it's funny. So my mom was like saying, she was like, oh, I wish you wouldn't do that. And I was like, why, Mom? Like, I mean, she's literally on a medication because her bone density is shit. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, Mom, like, you have to do weights. And she's like, nope, you know, like, you're going to hurt yourself and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, there's like such a misconception, especially, I mean, I'm going to talk about her generation. My generation is old also, but her generation, of just wanting to encourage people to be stronger and more empowered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't want to get into that whole thing, you know, empowerment and all that, but, not that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's another,
That is a whole nother.
that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's like, I mean, you know, I was going to say wait, but you're much younger than me. You're like an entire decade, but I was raised in an era that was, I mean, all of them have been, but very focused on looks, very focused on, you know, I think it was like jazzercise. It was like Jane Fonda workout,
Yeah. Well,
you know, like a lot of cardio,
yeah.
you know,
Small.
yeah. Yeah.
Being
So
small.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to get too bulky. I don't want to get too big. And I was like, that's not going to happen to you.
You're like, actually you need resistance, like to keep your bones strong.
I know. How sad is it that I'm at the point in my life where I'm like really thinking about that kind of stuff? Like, oh man, like I live alone.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's great. I mean, I think you have to look at like, holy fuck, I made it through all of my bad decisions.
I know. How did that happen? Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
My friend Sarah and I, we were in high school together and we were not great.
When you say not great, what does that mean?
Oh, we did some really
bad stuff.
Stupid stuff. Hung out with super bad people that were really bad. And we will message. She has teenagers now. Her oldest is just going into college next fall. She's going to Davis.
Oh.
And Sarah and I sometimes message each other and we're like, thank God there weren't cell phones.
Right? Dude, it's like, so funny.
Your kids this? No, I wouldn't tell them that.
I was just talking about this with my son, my oldest son, and we were talking. I don't know. We were talking about something, and I was telling him how, you know, I wish I'd been different when I was younger. It's like we kind of like take on our parents, right? And we've talked about this. We take on like our parents' role in our life, and then, you know, so me becoming a mom at like 19, I instantly like went into that parental role. Like my mom had raised me, and which was very full of, and don't get me wrong. I think there needs to be more discipline with children, but it was just a very, I guess I was like going through the motions. Like I'm a good mom because I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but I'm forgetting about like all the emotional stuff. So it was like, you know, my kids are clean, they're healthy, they go to bed at the right time. You know, I'm like doing all these things. Right. And so I was telling Jordan, I was like, yeah, like, I mean, if I had raised you guys now, it would have been like very different. You know, I said, I think that I would have back in the day, been more open to saying, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. Or I said, but I didn't because I thought you guys would use it against me. Right. Because like, once you open up that can of worms, like, oh, all of a sudden he goes, he made me laugh so hard. He goes, well, yeah, Mom, remember when you told me that you smoked when you were early pregnant with me? Because I did. I was a smoker. You know, I was like, I mean, it wasn't called emo back in the time, but I was pretty emo. Yeah. And I was smoking before I realized it. And I remember Jordan asking me when he was little, and he was like, Mom, did you ever smoke when you were pregnant with me? I was like, that's very fucking specific. And I was like, yes, I did, until I realized I was pregnant with you. And then I quit, but literally probably smoked a few more cigarettes before I quit because I was a child and, you know, I'm an idiot. And so, but what's so funny is that I told him that years ago when he was like four, like, I don't know, four, like probably like 6 or 7. He loves to bring it up, and usually around a lot of other people.
Right.
And he'll be like, I think it was even like in one of the raps that he did, because he was like, he's super into music. He's very creative. And I think there's like a line that says something about him having a learning disability because I smoked.
Yep.
And I was like, he goes, Mom, you definitely shouldn't have told me anything else, because I already used that one thing against you, and I'm still going to do it. Like, I mean, he's probably going to bring it up at his wedding in June. So yeah.
Just have a pack of Marlboros in your pocket.
I know, right?
Be like, you're the man you are today because of me.
Yeah, because all that tobacco I smoked. Oh my God. All right. Well, we should probably wrap this up.
I know.
We've been going on for an hour.
I really appreciate anybody that's still listening.
I know. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on this journey with us. I'm pretty buzzed right now.
Me too. And you know what? If you have any stories of parenting or car accidents, or
yeah, or if you're just feeling like,
or if you just want to share something with us,
if you're feeling any shame,
send it to us.
Send it to us, please.
We'll make you feel
like
better.
We're not the worst people on earth. It'd be so great. Yeah. So email us at betweenthereps@gmail.com. Pretty please. Because otherwise it's just going to be all this fucking, ranting and raving all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe you like it, maybe you don't.
We are going to have a guest first week of May.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Jody, and she is 52. She went from being kind of stay-at-home mom, like not active, to now she's like an IFBB bikini winner.
Oh, shit.
And she didn't get into it to do that. Like, it wasn't all about that. It was all about health and all of that. But she had that as kind of a goal.
And I've said it a million times. People that do that shit, it's like the amount of consistency and I can't think of the word right now because I'm buzzed. But discipline that you need is so incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
So she's super cool. I've talked with her. I'm super looking forward to having her on and her telling kind of her story and where she's at now. For anybody who, like, particularly me, who, needs that dose of like, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Right.
So she'll be a great guest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that. All right, guys. So thanks for listening. Don't forget to
rate, review, and subscribe.
5-star rating, 5-star warning. And thanks so much. Like, seriously, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate you and love you. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye.